Now that the regular season is done, we turn all the attention towards the college football playoff. And one conference, power conference, that is still looking to see if they will even get in is the Big 12. Reasonable? I don't think so. I think they should be in. I think there's no question. This is a Power 4 conference. They're going to have a champion. They should be in. And furthermore, what's more, it was probably the most competitive Power 4 conference in America. You want to say it doesn't have the high-end teams that the Big 10 does or the SEC does? Okay. But it's competitive. You got a lot of really good teams, not a couple of great teams. And who is that great team outside of Oregon in the Big 10? It's Ohio State, right? Well, they just lost to a 7-5 team. Really? Or remember all this hype for Ole Miss? The 3 losses. Or how about that hype for A&M? 4 losses. SEC, you got a team that's 10-2 in the conference championship game. Not my SEC. How can that be true? And we've seen it all along. I mean, this is nothing new to a lot of you, right? I can't get over a couple of weeks ago on College Game Day when it was Arizona State and BYU, and Desmond Howard was saying, why are we even picking this game? I don't know, because it's a ranked matchup in the Big 12 in a power conference where both teams had either 2 or 1 loss, and the winner is probably going to play in the Big 12 championship game. I don't know, Desmond. Maybe that's why. Like, ESPN has corrupted college football, the way we view it. It's insane. And I'll go back to a story a couple weeks ago when Joey Galloway, before that Ohio State-Indiana game, was saying that Curtis Rourke, the Indiana quarterback, should sit out. Because what if he gets hurt? Then they won't get in the college football playoff. Like, none of that makes sense. None of that makes sense. Because, I mean, what if he does play and they win? Like, what? Or if he does get hurt, why is that the thing we're measuring? Why was that the thing we were measuring for a 4-game playoff, let alone a 12-team playoff? None of it makes sense. ESPN and Desmond Howard, Joey Galloway, and Kirk Herbstreit have just completely manipulated the way we see this entire sport, and not for the better. And you and I have been pissed off about that for a long time. But the coaches are starting to get a little PO'd at it too. Let's ask Texas Tech head coach Joey McGuire what he thinks unprompted in his press conference Saturday.
The narrative of college football right now is really screwed up, and I'm gonna kind of talk about that. It comes down to a patch, I guess, that's on your jersey. Because, now stick with me, if Texas wins the SEC, that means a Big 12 team from last year won the SEC. If Oregon wins the Big 10, that means a Pac-12 team won the Big 10. And if Arizona State, not whoever's playing, but Arizona State's got a chance to play in the Big 12 championship, so that means a Pac-12 team won the Big 12. And then if SMU wins the ACC, that means an American team won the ACC. So I think it's absolutely embarrassing what this football committee and we got to back up what we need to do on the field so they get pissed off at me. But it's absolutely embarrassing what they're doing to this conference. And if they look at it that way and they sit there and say, who's playing the best football, who's the most competitive conference, who week in and week out, what you see on tape and the games that you got to play, I think the Big 12 should be in. The Big 12 champion should be in the Final Four, right? And then when teams are talking about multiple teams, depending on who plays in that game, they should have multiple teams. I think it's absolutely ridiculous what is happening. I just think we need to relook at this and quit looking at what patch and what logo it says on your jersey of what conference you're from, and look at the tape.
I mean, isn't that like the lesson we're all taught as young children? Like, don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge a team by the patch that they wear. Let's actually watch what they do. Like, wasn't the playoff all about, settling it on the field? I mean, we're more BCS than we've ever been. And it's a 12-team playoff because now we're looking at style points and who they lost to and yada, yada, yada. How about the teams that win their conference are in? Because we're in a real situation here where the college football playoff committee could leave out a Big 12 team altogether, which would be calamitous. It would be so mind-numbingly stupid that I can't believe it's even an option. Let's go over this again, what Joey said. Pac-12 team winning the Big 10. Big 12 team winning the SEC. A Pac-12 team winning the Big 12. And an AAC team winning the ACC. All of those things can very legitimately happen. In fact, they'll probably all be favorites in their conference championship games. Like, how does that make sense, man? Oh, well, since Texas goes to the SEC, they're automatically one of the best teams in the country. No, they were one last year when they played a Big 12 schedule. A Big 12 schedule, by the way, that was probably more ardent than this SEC schedule they played this year. Almost certainly, Texas played a tougher schedule last year in the Big 12 than they played in the SEC this year. And oh, great, you've got Oregon and Ohio State at the top. And then what? Because you keep trying to denigrate Indiana. You told us Michigan sucked and they beat Ohio State. And now it's just, it's the greatest rivalry ever. What are you going to say? Like, these go both ways here. These go both ways. And it's about time a coach called them out on their crap. Because that is ridiculous. And still, I'm going onto Twitter today on Sunday, and I'm seeing Lane Kiffin tweet out all their resume and who they lost to. And give me an effing break, Lane. Don't lose 3 games if you want to be a top 12 team. I'm sorry. And if you don't like it, defect from the SEC if it's so tough. But that's not what we do. We're not just saying that, the SEC is so tough, let's put half the freaking conference in there. That's not how this is supposed to work. And it's the writing was on the wall from the beginning, if we're being honest, with this 12-team playoff. I said it from the beginning. That does not leave more of a chance for schools like Boise State or Liberty or Tulane. It doesn't. What it does is it leaves more opportunities for Ole Miss and Penn State and A&M and all of those schools that are on the outside looking in on their own conference. But their conference is just so darn good. Who did Penn State play this year? They played Ohio State. How did that go? Ohio State. They played Oregon. How did that go? And then they go up against the 6-5 Michigan team at home and they lose. And it's nothing. It's no problem. They're going to be in the playoff no matter what. I'm hearing Tessitore on Friday night in that great Georgia Tech game. The Dogs need 8 overtimes or 7 overtimes, whatever it was, to win this thing. And automatically, the 2-loss team that has not won their conference yet, they're saying, and that means Georgia's in the college football playoff. College football has been slowly losing its mind for a long time. It's gone if we don't have a Big 12 team in the playoff. It's just such an insult to the sport. Because at that point, why should any team outside of those 2 conferences play any football? It's ridiculous. And we are going to get to a point, probably sooner rather than later, like within the next decade, where we'll just do an SEC Big 10 championship. Like, who gives a F at that point? Just let them have their thing, and they can be that meme of the guy who's spraying the champagne everywhere, finishing in 7th place. Because some years it's going to be like that. Oregon was going to be the best team in the country this year if they were playing in the Big 10 or not. They were right there in the preseason. They were in the top 4. They were going to be the best team in the country. Whether they were playing in the Pac-12 or the Big 10 or the Mountain West or the Big 12 or the AAC. And yet we're having this discussion in December. It's ridiculous. Arizona State, Iowa State, whichever of those teams wins absolutely deserves to be in the playoff. And in fact, you can make an argument probably for the loser as well. I doubt the loser will get in, but it would be absolutely ridiculous if the winner doesn't get in. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. And thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network part of your daily routine. We have got you covered with the most Baylor Bears athletics coverage of any outlet that's not directly tied into Baylor University. So if you want more of that, be sure to like and subscribe. Ring that notification bell to get notified every time we're dropping a video here on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks, and sick 'em.